kissed Rudy Giuliani in drag in the 90s, like early 2000s.
He literally went like into
yeah, exactly, dude. Like,
I'm gonna pull that video up now.
Bro, I don't. Oh my god, don't. Just don't.
I know, I'm pulling it up.
You're a very beautiful woman.
What kind of bound and tied are you talking about? Jordan, bro, you have a wife. Okay?
Jordan, chill the fuck out. What are we doing?
You have a wife and kids.
Send that to her right now, bro.
I'm sending it to her right now, okay, bro? Fuck. They're gonna get a divorce and I'm finally gonna be able to have Jordan to myself, okay?
That's crazy.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, you're really beautiful. A woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this scent.
Come on.
Like this may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy! You. Oh.
Come on. What are we doing?
You can't say I didn't try.
You know what? You know what? I have something to say. I think that Rudy Giuliani does drag really well.
He does!
Actually. Yeah, young Rudy Giuliani.
Like, what are we doing? Like, this is the president.
If he wasn't such a fucking hateful man now, that would be super based, actually.
Yeah.
Could you stand up? Man, I love black men. I love them. I love them. I'll kiss every guy, man and woman. Man and woman. Look at that guy, how handsome he is. I'll kiss him.
Okay, then what the fuck is this video? We're gonna get a different Trump being gay video.
No, just get the thing where he talks about Arnold Palmer's dick, dude.
Yeah, the Arnold Palmer one. Yes, I was about to say. He was the most man I've ever seen.
He was so big.
Home of Arnold Palmer. This is the home of my friend Arnold Palmer. And he loved Latrobe. You know, he turned out to be one of the greatest golfers in the world. But Arnold Palmer was all man. And I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women.
Love women.
But this guy, this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God. That's unbelievable. I had to say it.
Dude!
I think that's
what the fuck?
I think that's my favorite. I think that's one of my favorite things that he did during his campaign is that he would say some of the weirdest or gayest shit, and he would say, "I refuse to say it," and then say
He's literally like Soldier Boy in the fucking Boys. Like he says weird gay shit unironically.
It was a It was a doctor, and I'm not gonna say what kind of doctor it was. Okay.
By the way, is my audio good? Just a quick question.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure because whenever I use OBS, because I'm streaming on YouTube as well, whenever I use OBS, it kind of like is weird.
My classic Jacob Jew sentence coming through as usual. Okay, sound fine, bro.
Do you think that
Hello?
that guy?
Hello? Chat?
Do you think that?
Chat? Did you hear what the black man just said?
Ban
Chat.
this fucker right now.
Mods, ban him immediately.
God. What were you saying, dude?
Do you think that Groper guy got upset because I started saying that his buddy Chud the Builder would stay in jail for the rest of his life?
I think if I had told him, first of all, I think if I had told him that I was Jewish, he would have gotten upset. But it's also, for some people, it's also not hard to tell. If I, like, take my hat off and, like, show my fucking curly-ass hair, like, people can easily tell that.
Joe!
Silencing black voice. Get the fuck out of here, Jordan, bro. Get out.
You are silencing black voices, Joe.
That's not what I'm doing. Get out. Fuck off.
Yeah, Jacob really getting got fucked over by his genetics. Okay, he has the curly hair, long, big nose, glasses.
Alright, and he could say all this shit, but I make one KFC.
It's a wait, those are all facts. Those are all true. Those are all true. You're right. That's just true. That's all just true.
I have to tread so carefully right now. There's so many things I want to say.
Yeah.
JD,
say the word. Go ahead.
The Maybelline Demon Queen. What the fuck?
Maybelline Demon Queen?
No, JD, the Maybelline Demon Queen, is the nickname that Caleb is giving to JD Vance, which is very accurate, but you know. Well, guys,
I don't even know what.
We got
I don't know
50. Shut up.
Yeah.
We have 55 people in here. Let's start tapping that screen. Let's get a 10,000 likes as soon as we can. It'd be great. Official drag name. Yeah, that's true. Let's start tapping that screen, getting those likes up. If you are a Trump supporter or if you are right-leaning, come up. We want to talk to you. We want to have a conversation. I appreciate all of y'all for being here. And I hope everybody's day is going well.
True, Nick. Can somebody explain the JD Vance couch incident to me? Because I still don't understand it. I'm not gonna lie.
Didn't he like? Is there a picture of him like having sex with the couch or something? I don't know.
Divine, bro, help us out here.
I don't even know where that originated
Bruh.
from. I'm sorry.
Let me read an article.
Okay, so it stems from a internet rumor which claimed that in his 2016 memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, included a passage where he admitted to getting intimate with a latex glove shoved between couch cushions.
Okay. All right, so hold on. Before we start kink shaming,
it's first of all, yeah, it's not true.
I feel like that's like a maybe not a universal, but not an uncommon practice.
It's an internet rumor that essentially said that he had sex with a couch. So it's an internet rumor that essentially said that he had sex with a couch. So scratch
clip. The funniest thing I think my girlfriend has ever done.
You said he's done it before.
No. The funniest thing that I've ever seen my girlfriend do I think in our relationship is I came home, she was watching a movie, and I was like, damn, what's this movie? And she pauses it. It's Hillbilly Elegy. And she doesn't know that it's the JD Vance fucking memoir movie. God. And she was horrified when she found out.
Wait, she read the entire thing without knowing that it was JD Vance?
No. It was the movie. It was the adaptation.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. She watched like 3/4 of the movie. Didn't know.
Dr. Galt, what is going to be the argument for property rights?
They don't consent.
I know. I'm sorry. It's an inside joke. Inside our community, people still struggle to give an argument for property rights. At least I do. So.
Well, I was just giving the couch argument. I said the couch didn't consent.
Oh, the couch can't consent.
That's why
it's unsentient. So.
Yeah, true.
The couch can't consent.
Yeah, property doesn't have rights. So when JD Vance used his will against the couch, he didn't violate anything.
It's actually violating the NAP.
No, because you'd have to violate somebody. The couch is an object.
What if the couch is like magic and it has like?
Yeah, if it's
obviously the couch. Everybody knows that the couch acts. Okay, the couch acts towards certain ends. Okay, no one
If it's leather,
some kind of
then it
means.
has
Okay,
the spirit
so
of
from
the
that
cow.
we know that all humans have some kind of reason, and that reason drives towards some kind of ends. And sorry, I'm making my argument right now for couches having rights. Okay. Be quiet.
Right. Bro, Dr. Galt versus Scratch, whether couches have personal rights. My God. Wait, what if it's somebody else's couch? Then you have the fact that JD Vance is unconsensually using somebody else's property. So then it would actually be an issue.
So you're saying, like, I walked into your house without your permission and made love to your couch?
Yes, and then it would be a violation of like somebody's personal rights because that person's property belongs.
First degree couch scrape.
But I think the point is that the couch is still not, the couch itself is not being violated. Somebody else's property rights might be violated, but not the couch.
Well, I think I could solve this argument. Jacob, if I walked into your house and started violating your couch, would you stop me?
It depends on how much you're enjoying it.
Yeah. It
yes, I would stop you.
Okay, so you're defending your property. You're defending your property. Okay, cool. So you're acknowledging property rights. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. He did it. He did it. We got it. So wait,
there you go.
That's a wait, but hold on. Wouldn't technically?
I'll take that as a concession.
Listen, I believe in property rights, so, but I'm just saying that, like, we should use this against Lucas now, Scratch. We should make this, like, we need to make this analogy, like,
if I'm making love to your couch.
If JD Vance came into your home and started using your couch for sexual purposes, would you stop him?
Would you stop him?
Yeah, like, and hopefully he'd say yes, so...
If he says no, then he's just a weirdo. Then he'd have to like concede to being.
He just likes to watch.
He just like to watch.
Am I gonna stop the couch cunt demon JD Vance? I don't know, bro.
Well, if that's the case, then isn't he consenting to JD Vance violating his property?
Yeah, and
so
then
it's no longer a violation.
Yeah, I'd video it and then blackmail him. Ooh, we could do that. That's one option.
That's revenge porn. That's illegal.
What?
Wouldn't it be like recording a pornographic video in attempting to blackmail somebody? That's like revenge porn, isn't it?
Oh,
no,
that's like its own legal definition.
Well, that would be a contradiction to him if he did that, because he doesn't own himself, because he doesn't believe in property rights. Therefore, you using something of his would not be a violation under his worldview. So again, you'd have to get him to concede.
Yeah. Well, also, I will say, Lucas does believe in property rights. He just gave us the argument, like, the communist argument, and I was not prepared to go against it, and I'm still trying to, like, rhetorically figure out which is the best way to take it. But, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the rock. It's the rock. If I pick up a rock in nature, and I have it first, and you come to take it from me, I have the right to defend myself with the rock, and the rock is mine because I homesteaded it.
But then he always makes the argument that like property rights inherently need violence to be able to protect it, which is.
No, they don't.
Then how do you prevent the guy from taking your rock away from you?
You say no.
But what if he still does it?
Okay, then he needs violence to take it.
So then, at the end, violence is needed to secure property rights. Like, that's that, and then you have, like, all these fuck-ass communists who are like, oh, property rights shouldn't exist because they inherently, need violence to protect them. So...
You just need to be like, violence is based. That's all you need to say.
Well, I mean...
Violence is based.
Well, then you could put him into the situation of, like, if self-ownership... Like, if a woman doesn't have self-ownership and you feel like you can aggress on her and might makes right, then who's wrong? Because I determine the aggressor as being wrong. So in this situation, when you come to take my property and use violence, I'm saying you're wrong and I'm right. And if they're saying there's nobody right or wrong or might makes right, then all they're saying is that if I went to do that to somebody else, then it's justifiably okay.
Yeah. That's how we know he blew Bubba. We know who blew Bubba. Oh, yeah, Trump. Oh, yeah, he 100% blew Bubba. Totally. But if you guys don't already know, Dr. Galt is a libertarian. I figured you
need to make the Matt Brunig argument.
What's that?
It's like the grab world. It's like, right? If everybody just like randomly spawned in on a world, right? Why would we have it so? Like, anybody has individual property rights, why would we just have it? Or if you pick something up, that's yours. I mean, if you set something down, then that's yours again. Like, there's no inherent thing. Attachment to it, because ultimately, ultimately what libertarians are saying in property rights is that like aggression is justified as long as it's in the protection of like your personal rights and property rights.
I mean, I would also say like technically if somebody's grabbing your rock from you, that's them using violence. So then you have the ability to defend yourself against said person's violence.
Yeah, but he's saying that like the ethic would just lead to a grab world where nobody has like an inherent like attachment to anything, unless you're like actually using it at the time. Yeah, I'll send you a couple articles. I think he advocates for like some. I don't even agree with him. He advocates for some like a sovereign wealth fund system. It's like like how Alaska does their oil.
Okay, so I just uploaded the pictures, so we should have all those, like, fan club emotes now. But it probably won't, be activated. Scratch, you're too smart to think Matt Brunig is smart. I mean, I don't know too much about Matt Brunig, but I don't know.
All right, so
no,
sorry,
you're good.
I'm back.
You're fine. I want to know, do you participate in the Libertarian Party, or do you just work within the political party system?
I do. Like, I'm in some of the caucuses. Like, you'll find a lot of like hardcore Marxists hanging out. Like, sometimes I've walked into like a libertarian Discord, and it's like walking into a bar where they're all lesbians, and you find out like you're going in for a date, but like you went to the wrong place. So there's a lot of people who hide under the libertarian lenses, like hardcore Marxists.
Why?
You got to be careful.
Well, I guess there's like an anarchism sect to that as well. I feel like it's kind of hard to discern like hardcore libertarians from like anarchists. So,
well, it's the same reason that Nazis try to infiltrate the Republican Party. It's the same reason like Marxist Leninists try to infiltrate the Democratic Party. Like, you have extremists that always try to um, take a movement over.
yeah. All right, well, man, good to talk to you. I'm gonna drop you down so we can hopefully get some Trump supporters up here, but appreciate you coming by and talking about couch property rights.
Well, yeah, Scratch is a good friend of mine. I've known him, well, I don't want to say friend, but I've known him for a while. There was some MAGA that used to be dicks to him, so I've known him for a while. Smart kid.
Yeah, he's really great.
Disagree with him, but he's a smart dude. So, all right, man, I'll talk to you.
See you later. Libertarians are dangerous. I think, I mean, I'm relatively libertarian leaning. I'm more libertarian leaning from the legal sense, however, not necessarily the economic sense. I do believe in like increasing worker rights and things like that, but I believe that because of the fact that I want more liberty for the average person, I don't believe in free market principles as a way of freedom like some libertarians do. I believe that that's a way of tyranny. So again, like I'm not a libertarian, not a communist. I'm like, if I were to have a perspective of 0 is like liberal or like centrist or moderate, and then 10 is left like communists or like socialists, I'm like a 6 or a 5. So I'm not as far left as some people, or like far libertarian as some others. Do you believe in the PRO Act? What is the PRO Act? Is it the new piece of legislation? I'm not fully aware of it. Protecting the right to organize. I'll have to look into it more. You should read it. Yeah, I'm gonna look into it. Unfortunately, it looks like the filibuster continues to block it. Which is frustrating, but it is what it is. But I don't know, like, what, it's, like, so quiet now. After I let fucking Scratch and Dupe back up. Now we got, like, no Maga in here. Okay. Alright, guys. Well, I think we're gonna reset. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna reset the live. And hopefully we'll get some Maga there. There's some debates going. I'm gonna reset. When you guys get back, make sure we're tapping that screen, getting those likes up. I'll see y'all in like 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Just gonna reset here. No. Alright guys, welcome back. We are just getting the live started here. Let's start tapping that screen, getting those likes up. Let's get some debates going here. Today's been kind of slower than usual, so hopefully we'll get on that For You page. We'll get those likes up, we'll get things going here. Appreciate all y'all for coming by. If you are a Trump supporter, get in that request button. I see some of y'all that are Trump supporters flowing in there, so request on up. Come on, let's talk. But if you are not a Trump supporter, start tapping that screen, guys. Send your send your heart me's, send your go populars. Let's get me on the For You page. It's greatly appreciated. Let's start getting those likes up, tapping. It's really appreciated. Nobody cares about the law. Maga's not unique in that. Well, I care about the law. I care about the Constitution. I care about it a lot. So I know maybe you don't, but I very much care about the law. I've yet to see anybody who's consistent on constitutionality where I am. So I'm really consistent on constitutionality. I mean, it's one of the things I'm most consistent on. So I don't know what you mean by that, but they're abolish all PP laws? I don't want to do that. What the fuck? You want to do that? You want to abolish all PP laws? Archangel, you can request up, because you've been up here before. If you want to have an actual conversation, we can do that. We can have a conversation. Welcome, Archangel. How you doing?
Good, good. I think over the last time we talked. Oh wait, Sorry, I was the colorful restaurant, just bringing back the food, the dish back. Yes, I do remember we had a conversation about political violence. And I did forget. Did forget to mention about one thing. I remember you did mention about the Hang My Pence thing. We had someone on there called O'Keefe. He's a former something in the army or something. He said Donald Trump's a traitor and he should be hung. Now, I forgot to mention about that because I had it. I kind of forgot to mention about it. So the thing about it is, last time we were on here, we're talking about political violence, and unfortunately, political violence comes from both sides of the aisle, not just one aisle. So I'm admitting that.
So got it. So the one army guy that you're talking about, I don't know this dude. And he's not part of a organized protest. It was organized by a former president.
That's not the point. The point
is the point. That is the point.
The point is telling people
a protest that Donald Trump organized devolved into people screaming, "Hang Mike Pence."
Talking about a guy went on TV. Okay, national television said this. So you can't say that's different because if someone went and told, "Hey, Biden or someone or Kamala or someone from the other side should be hung," I'll be outraged. I'll be pissed off too. I'll be mad. No one should be hung or damaged. Yeah, no one should be. No one should be that. And then you.
So my claim is not that political violence doesn't happen on the left. My claim is that the right does political violence.
You just claimed it on one thing, and I gave you one example, and you were like, "Oh no, that's different."
Well, remember, I think this one guy saying this on television is nothing compared to Charlottesville 2017 or the January 6th insurrection. Do you agree?
We could talk about January 20th, 2017, where Trump actually got what do you call that? He had a ceremony where he was, sworn in, and there was violent protest. No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about BLM. No one wants to talk about the.
We can talk about BLM. We can talk about BLM. How many cops were unalived as a result of BLM protests?
I can't give you that number. Unfortunately,
None.
I can't.
There isn't a single organized BLM protest that devolved into cops being unalived.
There was a lot of property damage. There was a lot of damage. There was a lot of
property damage is one thing. We could go to literally every single major right-wing protest. Again, Charlottesville 2017, a guy drove his car through 30 people. 30 people were injured, and a mother of 2 was unalived. We go to January 6th, where 140 cops were injured, where Capitol building was degraded, and 6 cops would end up losing their lives because of the results of that take. Right? Those things.
So people were
way worse than one guy at one point saying that.
Are you going to talk about what's happening? What happened during when there was? Remember with the chop thing when they were they took over a whole thing and all that nonsense. Remember how that ended up going well? And then ended up tearing it down. Listen, I watched all the videos. I watched all the videos that happened on BLM, and it should never happen, and it should never happen. If they were doing peacefully, I could sit there and I could say, fine. If they're not doing nothing wrong, then fine. They don't deserve to be prosecuted. Now, as for January 6th, there were people that were violent, and there are people that were just not violent. I could say the same thing for the BLM.
Dude, no, that's not true. There was over 1,600.
There were people who were violent and people who were not violent.
No, that is a complete revisionist history of what happened. I'm gonna respond to that point that some people were violent and some people weren't. No, 1,600 people. 1,600 people were charged with sedition. Over 1,600 people were charged with different crimes. 400 were charged with inciting violence against police officers. 140 officers were injured. 6 officers ended up dying because of the events of that day. And 1,600 people were charged with seditious conspiracy, criminal activity, and attempted insurrection.
Yeah, but there was no insurrection.
What are you talking about?
There was no insurrection. So you're admitting that there was no insurrection at all.
It was an insurrection. It was the attempt to disrupt the lawful transfer of power. That is what it was. It was an attempt to insurrect the United States government.
Right there, you're admitting that there was no insurrection, and people were charged with what you just mentioned. At the end of the day, when that happened, people on the right condemned the violence. I am the one who condemned violence, and then anyone that were, I was the first one to say, look, this is not right. We cannot do this. And you know what? Since then, there hasn't been anything like January 6th. There has been people like burning Teslas, all that stuff, people taking over campuses and all that, the pro-Palestine people. We could talk about all the protests.
So again, none of which
I could talk about all that stuff that happened.
We can go.
And people were charged just like that. Remember New York? I live in New York. I remember when that was happening.
So here's the list. Again, you continue to list things that are of nothing of the magnitude of January 6th or Charlottesville 2017. BLM protests lasted for 4 years. 4 years straight. During those 4 years, not a single police officer, according to the FBI, was unalived because of those protests. We can go to protests. We go to protests that are literally happening right now in the United States. Right now, the No Kings protests that have happened 3 times with over 20 million people, where nobody has even been arrested for any crime, that have been fully peaceful. The left has organized protests, and we see every single time that they do, it's peaceful. Again, when you have the right, with the Charlottesville 2017 protests, the Unite the Right protests, people were unalived because a guy drove his fucking car through 30 people. Also, I want to clear something up because I wanted to double check the specific charges. They were entering and remaining in a restricted building, disorderly conduct, and parading or picketing in a Capitol building, assaulting, resisting, or impeding police officers, civil disorder, and destruction of government property. And then there was also conspiracy, obstruction of an official proceeding, and seditious conspiracy, largely linked to like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. Those were all things that individuals were charged on January 6th. Different numbers, different people. However, 400 of those people were charged with literally beating on police officers. It is nothing compared to any recent protest. This guy just won't stop talking.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. Why were people waved into the building?
Why were people what?
Waved in the building.
Waved into the Capitol building?
Yeah, people were waved in the building. Am I correct? I saw the video. They were waved in the They're waved into the Capitol.
No, they weren't.
And I saw
people were breaking into windows.
No, they weren't.
Right?
They were waved.
People were breaking in. So you believe that the individuals were just like let in. And I just want to mention the videos that you're referring to. The videos that were. Oh my god, dude! You cannot just like continue to interrupt, dude. My god. So, a few things. One, there were some parts of the building in which individuals were let in because of the fact that otherwise we would have had a bunch of fucking people that were breaking down more doors, breaking more windows, and hurting more cops. Again, 140 cops were injured on January 6th.
Cops. They're just focused on the cops and damage.
Yes, I'm going to focus on cops that are getting beaten. Why wouldn't I?
You care about cops, right? So why did your party defund the police? Because
my party didn't.
Yeah, okay, then their party were calling for defunding the police? I do remember that. And yeah,
what defund the police means is we want to, instead of giving all of our money to police officers, we want to give it to certain like public things, like public parks, public services that actually decrease crime. But no, like Joe Biden didn't decrease like federal police funding. The only person who's decreased funding for police officers in the federal government is Trump. So I don't know what you're talking about.
But who was calling for it wasn't Trump. It wasn't the people on the right.
Yeah, he did. I don't give a fuck about. I don't care about like all like the fake action that you're talking about. I care about instead of caring about words, I care about action. I care about literal action. And the action is that Democrats don't advocate for getting rid of police funding. They advocate for transferring funding and giving funding to public services so you can decrease crime. That's why there's lower crime in Democratic urban areas than there is in Republican urban areas. If you go to a crime map, there's less crime in major like Democratic controlled areas than there is Republicans.
Live in a Democrat.
Because of the fact that places that have poverty are going to have more crime.
it's not poverty. It's people who commit the crimes, and that's why
poverty causes crime. In places where there's more poverty,
okay.
there's more crime.
Okay, so if I'm poor, right? If I'm homeless or some crackhead or whatever the heck it is mad because he get his drugs, his things or whatever to get high off of. Does that give him a right to kill, murder everyone?
No, but we can. But again, dude, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you decrease poverty, right, you decrease the amount of crime.
Oh, it's poverty. Yeah, but you know what? Okay,
I'm gonna show you a map here. Okay, I'm gonna show you a map of poverty in the United States, and I'm gonna show you a map of crime in the United States. All right, I'm gonna show you. Both of them directly correlate. Where you have more poverty, you have more crime. So here, this is a map of 2021 of poverty in the United States. So you see it in primarily southern areas. In a lot of these areas, you have more poverty, right? And then we go to the crime here, and it correlates. Where you have more poverty, you have more crime. That's why the darkest areas on this map where crime is are also the places where there's the most amount of poverty.
So again, I live in a area that's blue. That's deep blue. Okay? The problem I have with it is homeless, addicts.
Yeah, that's bad. Those homeless people, because they're homeless, are going to end up stealing from stores and stuff. Like, that's what happens. So
I have a Democrat, a councilwoman, or whatever, right? I bring this up. So I think it was the NYPD called me. They said, okay, we heard that you made a complaint. I said, yes, I'm the one who made that complaint. And they told me, not saying every police station or every person's like that, but they told me, well, they have a right to be there. And I said, no, they don't. And involving schools, no, they don't. Schools, you know what? This is a school. This is a library.
I unfortunately, I have no way to like prove what happened to you if that's true. But it doesn't address my point that where you have more poverty, right? You have more crime, and in Republican-controlled areas, there is more crime.
But yeah, data can be manipulated regardless of anything.
This data isn't manipulated. This is just crime rates. This is crime rates according to the FBI, right? Okay. This is self-reported crime rates according to the FBI, and then you have poverty levels that are also reported by the census and the IRS.
So when I see people say, oh my God, look, crime is down in New York City, which I live in, right? Okay, you go to the news. Does it mean crime is still going to happen regardless at the end of the day?
Of course, but decreasing crime is the goal, correct?
Well, yeah, because they should have more police and they should have more people in there.
No, that's not true. We do not see a direct. So I agree with you. More police sometimes helps lower the amount of crime. But again, we see that decreasing poverty, decreasing people that are homeless is actually the way to decrease crime more effectively.
Crime is low in New York. Shit's happening in New York. Like again,
I can't hear what this guy is saying. It's just denying facts to my face. Corey, I'm just trying to do one-on-ones today. So I know that you requested up.
I just want to quickly give. Yeah, I know. I'll drop in just a second because I'm about to go to the gym. I just wanted to say something. He brought up this O'Keefe guy as a way to signal the violence on the left. I just want to point out he's talking about a guy named Kenneth O'Keefe. Kenneth O'Keefe is not a leftist. While Kenneth O'Keefe is opposed to U.S. imperialism as well as and it seems to be pro-Palestine, he is also somebody who is incredibly anti-Semitic. He has platformed with people like David Duke and David Icke, and he has been disavowed by pretty much every single left-wing or even pro-Palestinian group. throughout the entire United States. He is not on the left. So that guy's example of left-wingers being like violent because they don't like Donald Trump, even that example is somebody who is, by basically any account, a right-wing person. So just, you know, to give you information on that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And again, like, regardless of this one guy that may have said something violent towards Donald Trump, it doesn't disprove the fact that the left has had multiple different organized protests over the past few years, and all of them have been way more peaceful. Just objectively.
Oh, of course.
Like,
that's the point.
And denying that to my face is ridiculous to me. Like, it's not a bad thing to admit that, like, oh, my side has political violence, and it might be more than the left. Like, I feel like they're, like, so ashamed to just, like, admit it, and it's very, very sad.
No, and it's just very funny that even when the example he tries to bring up is a person who's not even left wing but a right winger, which to me pushes even more that every account you can find tends to almost always be right wingers being violent. But yeah. All right, have a good one, Jacob.
See you around, man. It's not more than left. It is. We have multiple different sources. Shots at the White House every year since 2016, except shots at the White House. What does that prove? What does that prove? Welcome, average guy. Are you gonna address the topic that I was talking about, or do you want to talk about something else?
What were you talking about? I just joined.
I'm talking about how I think that the right is more violent than the left on empirics.
Right's more violent than the left on what?
Empirically, the right is more violent than the left.
Okay, elaborate on that.
We have multiple different instances of political violence that's being committed by the right, and that the instances of political violence are more consistent, over the past 30 years, according to the Cato Institute.
You're probably referring to that report that came out that counts like all J6ers as political violence, but none of the BLM rioters. Yeah, sure, I agree, but I don't think every single person at J6 was violent.
You don't believe that the 1,600 individuals that participated in the Capitol raid were being violent?
Not only do I not believe that, none of them, like most of them, were not charged with any violent crime.
400 of them were.
Correct.
But violent crime,
my statement remains
property.
Well,
I would consider property damage, while it's not classified as a violent crime, I would consider it violent, right? When I would say when breaking windows and like stuff like that, I would consider that violent. And I believe 1,200 individuals were charged with those. But I again, like, that was a violent protest. I wouldn't even call it a protest. It was just fucking violence. And again, when we go to the BLM protests, we go to the fact that when those occurred, the majority of them were not, first of all, they were not violent to the extent that January 6th was. A lot of them. They were mostly peaceful, mostly progressive. I will say that in some cities like Chicago, there were instances of like property damage and like, blocking cop cars and things like that.
Pause. Then you would have to use the same logic on J6 because most of the J6ers were like, there was like over 100,000 people there.
No,
most of them didn't ever. How many people you think showed up to the protest? I'm not talking about enter the Capitol.
So at the protest at the reflecting pool?
Let me Google it. How many people were at the Stop the Steal rally? Estimated 120,000. Yeah, what are you talking about?
There was 120,000 people there?
At the Stop the Steal, yeah.
No, there wasn't. Wait, where you get what? Are you sure? That cannot be the case. Hold on. How many?
Just Google how many people were at the Stop the Steal. There's a congressional estimate and then a Secret Service estimate. Congressional estimate's 53,000. Secret Service estimates that the crowd size across the National Mall may have reached 120,000.
That's like the broad. What? I thought it was like 10. Wait, hold on. Yeah, 10 people were at the 10,000 people were at the Capitol grounds.
Capitol grounds, correct. But I'm talking about the Stop the Steal rally, which is where everybody came from. Not everyone went to the Capitol. A lot of people were like, "This is fucking nuts. These people are out of control. I'm going home."
Yeah, I just want to mention the Cato Institute is talking about political unalivings, not like specific like, oh, you broke a fucking door or something like that. So it's specifically talking about like political unalivings.
What's the name of this? What is it? Cato Institute. It's probably called something like political violence.
Politically motivated killers is the
politically motivated killers. 51 years of terrorist murders on U.S.
Yeah, it gives
soil.
you where you can find the methodology and everything. And then it gives you like a graph of like what is since like 1973, I believe, 1974.
They're counting 9/11 on this.
Well, there's one excluding 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings.
Oh wait, okay. Where'd you tell me to go to the conclusion?
If you can scroll down, there's a findings section, and you'll be able to find that stuff.
Okay, it's saying politically motivated terrorists, Islamists.
But I mean, that's I still think that that's one source, but I also am still fine to have the discussion about like the BLM protests. Across the BLM protests, we had over 10 to 20 million estimated individuals that participated across those 4 years, right? We also have the estimates of how many police officers were injured during the time. First of all, no cop officer was unalived as a result of those protests.
Oh wait,
so
hold on. I'm trying to read and listen at the same time. Okay, what'd you say about BLM and why was it not included in this?
Well, first off, because nobody was unalived on BLM.
As a result of the political movement, people died. Yeah, for sure, people did.
Nope, there was none of the protests resulted in a cop or somebody being unalived. Not a single one.
It was mostly property damage, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. And that was only in like one part of the country. The protests were just as big as the No Kings protests, which are also extremely peaceful and nonviolent.
Okay, so I just googled how many people died in the BLM riots of 2020. At least 42 people have been killed in relation to the 2020 to 2023 United States racial unrest following the unaliving of George Floyd. Okay, here's the Guardian. Even the Guardian reported on this. At least 25 Americans unalived.
Are these people that are being like, are they cops? Are they being killed because of political reasons? Because those 42 people could have been unalived by like counter protesters.
It's right? As a result. It's as a result of this political ideology. Like for example, the people going to the Capitol on J6. It's not like they went up to the cop and was like, "You're probably a liberal cop. F you." No, that like police officers were injured and unalived because of the result of said political protest. The same way people were uninjured or unalived as a result of said political protest being BLM. You have to give it the same standard.
Yeah, I cannot find. So does this like, yeah, are you using like what is your are you? I want to ask, how can they count this if it's not politically motivated?
Well, so like I'm saying like, I think the methodology that you're seeking.
Well, the methodology is fine. It's talking about political killings. You're making the claim that, for like, again, it's like relation to the arrest. But according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, 93% of the protests were peaceful and non-destructive. Is
true.
Much higher percentage than.
It's about the same, you know. We just agreed that there's.
No, it's not.
Hold on. We just agreed 100,000 people went to the Stop the Steal protest.
I thought you were talking about the at the Capitol rally itself, not the I specifically asked at the reflecting pool or other things, and you didn't answer. So my decision was like 10,000 people were at the Capitol. I'm talking about like as a whole, right? With the right and protests that they do. Major protests that occurred by the right recently and like in like recent history have been the Unite the Right protests and the Stop the Steal ones, both of which had extremely violent incidents that happened.
Unite the Right. I'm not up to date on that. It's been a while since I've talked on
like
the Unite the Right.
Charlottesville 2017.
Yeah, I know the general, but I forget how many like people were injured and the
Thank you, Jess
stats
Raiders. Hi guys, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
What I'm referring to is like, for example, 100,000 people showed up to Stop the Steal rally. Out of those 100,000, 1,600 broke the law and went in to the Capitol.
Again,
so
20 million people, 20 million people showed up to the No Kings protest. Not a single person was violent. I could play that game all we want. I'm talking about individual protests and which one is more dedicated to being peaceful. And statistically, it shows that the left is way more dedicated to peaceful protests. Sorry, Divine Dude, do you want to say something?
Yeah, there were a couple of moments where I don't know if you're being like purposely slimy, but the way that you had explained it kind of was. When you talked about the 40 some odd people that died during the protests, during the BLM protests, you just said like as a blanket term as a result of, when that could be trampolines, that could be accidents. But
that
when
could be
we talk
cops
about
killing people, like
true. Well, I'm saying like it kind of it's a little bit dishonest to paint it with such a broad brush, especially compared to January 6th when those police officers were like very obviously brutalized and stampeded by the crowd. I think that there's you to say that you can equate it to the same standard is it's kind of just dishonest.
Well, I'm saying like, for example, honing in like the Cato did on one specific metric doesn't tell the whole picture. Like, for example,
I agree. That's why we're going into the greater picture.
Yeah, that's why I'm like kind of broadening the scope here and saying like you can point at things like how many police officers were harmed or injured during J6, how many police officers were harmed or injured during BLM. You have recorded over 2,000 police officers were injured in just the summer of 2020.
Still a much better percentage than what happened with J6. With J6, you had immediately at the Capitol like thing, you had 10,000 people.
How many police officers were injured there?
140.
Okay, compared to within a couple months?
140 in 3 hours versus 2,000 in 3 years.
Okay, well then let's no, this was just in a couple months of a summer. Let's take a year-over-year comparison of 2020.
The number that you're referring to is across 2020 to 2023. And I also want to clarify the what you cited earlier with the 42 individuals. That's including homicides by counter-protesters. That's including counter-protesters that killed BLM protesters.
Whoa! What are you talking about? What percentage of the unalivings was that? Kyle Rittenhouse is the only one I can think of.
I mean, that's one of them. But again, I'm specifically talking about the fact that the numbers that you're claiming include police officers shooting protesters, homicides by civilian counter-protesters, shootings during standoffs, and individuals driving through or into crowds. So, again, if you can find a number that specifies who these people were and why they were unalived, that's great. But we know that, according to the Cato Institute, when it comes to political unalivings, the right is 63% of all of them.
Yeah, so even if I gave you that like very honed in statistic, that doesn't paint, once again, that doesn't paint the full picture for political violence and which ideology like sees political violence as more acceptable. Which one does it happen in?
It's the whole reason why. Statistically, it's the right. I'm gonna do some quick math here. I'm dividing. I'm trying to figure out.
What was that study called? There was a study that was just done. Let me Google it. What was the study done showing which political party is more favorable towards political violence?
Yeah, that one was done, and it said that the right is.
It was like a survey done.
Yes. And the right, if we compare you can compare the numbers of the right, and you compare the numbers of the left. This study's done like every few years, and the left increased by a tiny bit, but the right still led. So like the acceptance among the left increased, obviously, because whenever you're part of a minority and not in power, political violence is going to be more likely. So that study that you're talking about literally helps my argument.
No, it was by YouGov. It's been circulating social media. I've seen it at least 10 times. So YouGov polled respondents and allowed them to answer and give their political ideology. Very liberal respondents, at the highest rate, 25%, said political violence can be justified to achieve political goals, compared to very conservative, only 3%. And this was self-reporting. They're self-reporting, given their own ideologies. What do they think political violence is appropriate?
So I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it right now. Democrats and Republicans are related to. Most Americans say it's unacceptable to be happy about a political figure's death.
The link to this survey is what Americans really think about political violence. It was done right after the CK unaliving, September 12th, 2020.
That obviously is purposefully disingenuous. Of course, it's going to be biased.
How?
Because first of all, Charlie Kirk is a piece of shit. So a lot of the feelings, the opinions of this poll is going to be based off of what people think about Charlie Kirk.
I don't care what the
this is context also around it. I don't trust you. This was literally taken the day after Charlie Kirk was unalived. So that it is specifically like gonna be asking the question: do you think it's okay to be happy that Charlie Kirk got unalived? Obviously, conservatives are gonna answer in a certain way because it's specifically referencing what happened with Charlie Kirk.
Dude, I don't care what the context is.
Disingenuous here. This is not the poll.
Political violence. Hold on. Political violence is never justified. I don't care what the context around it is.
Was it justified in 1776?
Political violence? That wasn't political violence. That wasn't internal political violence.
What the fuck are we talking about? This country was literally founded on political violence, you nimwit.
That is not internalized political violence. That is us declaring separation from a foreign entity trying to control us.
Through violence! It was a political action through violence. What are we doing?
That is war. That is war where we officially declared our independence. It's not like we went and assassinated the UK's or Great Britain's freaking leader. That's not political violence.
We're the Sons of Liberty. We're the Sons of Liberty. We're the Sons of Liberty doing political violence.
Dude, hold on. Before you try to skip on, there's a difference between declaring independence and going and assassinating your leader. That would be political violence. If somemme went to all the way to Britain,
Sons of Liberty, political violence was the actions of the Sons of Liberty political violence. If I'm gonna grant that,
I don't even know what that is. Can you respond to mine?
You don't know who the Sons of Liberty are?
I'd have to look it up. I've probably heard it before, but can you respond to my
even if I grant that?
Yeah, sure. So wait, hold on.
You have to understand the difference between formally declaring something against an adversary, like a war, and going and say like assassinating someone like Charlie Kirk.
So here's my question to you: Is
Is declaring independence a political action?
Yeah.
So we had would you consider a revolution political violence?
A revolution?
Yeah.
That's still an official declaration. But the Civil War was a declaration. The North said we're declaring war against the South. They didn't go in and just start assassinating the leaders of the South.
That's not a revolution. I mean, yeah, but I mean
you have to understand there's a difference between a war and political violence.
But again, it's a revolution. It is a civil wars are political violence, and that's what the revolution was. It was a civil war.
Okay, well then let me redefine my terms. Really I'm not referring to a government having an official action that entails violence.
We barely had a government.
what I'm saying is this political violence, and I shouldn't have to. I think you guys are being purposely obtuse.
No, we're not. This is universally accepted.
You're being no. You are being pedantic because you can obviously tell that a revolution to declare independence is a politically violent action. It's what you consider political violence, and you're giving it such a narrow definition to the broad.
But it's the same reason why we don't call it murder. It's the same reason why we don't call it murder. Like, for example, the person on the life CK, that's a murderer. But for example, when Americans fought against the Redcoats, that wasn't murder because it was a justified action. Political violence is unjustified. Political violence is unjustified.
Wait, hold on. Again, this is the whole question. Just because it's political violence doesn't mean it's unjustified. Again, we have the Sons of Liberty, who were a ragtag group of revolutionists in Boston who literally did the fucking Boston Tea Party. Those people. And did violence against British ships in our ports. Multiple times attacked British
to achieve
officials.
A political goal.
Literally were responsible for the protests that led to the Boston Massacre. They are considered heroes in American history. They were not a government. Do you think that was political violence?
Let me redefine political violence so we're on the same terms. What I define as political violence is the unjustified act, or almost like
so it has to be unjustified. It has to be unjustified for it to be political violence.
It's like vigilantism.
Yeah, that's what the Sons of Liberty was.
Sons of Liberty. Let me look this up. Sons of Liberty.
How the fuck do you not know who the Sons of Liberty are? Genuine question. Did you not learn about this shit in high school?
Boston Tea Party.
It's just such a.
I know about the Boston Tea Party. Sons of Liberty were specifically underground network of patriot provocateurs and grassroots activists.
I'm sorry. Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, James Otis, literally the guy that created the fucking saying "No taxation without representation" was part of the Sons of Liberty. They are foundational revolutionists, and they were not part of a government. Do you believe that their actions were justified?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Then there is a justification for political violence, you absolute fucking dumbass.
Wait, you can't just take the yeah. You want to know why I think that?
Yeah,
because
why do you think that?
Our government is who defines and delimitates what's an unjustified act or not. Our court system does that. It's not up to you in your individual opinion to determine. Like, you probably think that it was justified that CK got shot, or
no,
at least
I
know people in your people in your comments do. A lot of them are commenting that he deserved it. Whatever.
They do that. They do that to troll you because it makes you angry.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of people that actually believe that. There's a lot of people that actually believe that.
Charlie Kirk,
your opinion doesn't matter.
I believe Charlie Kirk.
What matters is your government's opinion.
I believe.
So, for example,
no, it doesn't. What are you talking about?
Hold on. Our government, since we separated from the British, they never prosecuted those individuals because that was not against our own interests. That's the difference.
But again, you're making the claim. You're making the claim that political violence is never justified, but then at the same time saying that you think Samuel Adams and John Hancock and James Otis were heroes to the American people. You can't do one or the other.
Well,
you
I
have
think
to say that under certain circumstances, political violence is justified. Of course, there's more nuance, but in very specific in specific situations, political violence becomes justified.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what I was going to go on the road of. There's more nuance to that than just saying in general political violence is justified. Like in general, if I asked you or anyone on the street, do you think political justice sorry, do you think political violence is justified? They're gonna think I'm referring to like actual vigilantism. Say for example, Luigi Mangione.
If they're educated, they wouldn't.
That one guy. But hold on.
Not if they're educated.
If I reframed it and said, do you think it's unjustified to like say declare war on people? They would be a different answer because obviously it's a different context. Like there's a difference between declaring war on someone and unaliving them that way versus committing vigilantism and taking things into your own hands and committing violence in support of a certain political ideology.
So again, the Sons of Liberty were vigilantes. You think that they were justified?
Based in our government's eyes, yeah.
It's not in our government's eyes. I'm asking you. Stop appealing to the fucking government.
But like for the 5th time, my opinion doesn't matter, and yours doesn't either.
We're having a conversation. My opinion matters.
What defines political violence is, and what defines really, if you look up the definition of terrorism, it's subjective to what government you're within. Like what we define as
that's how international relations work.
Yeah. So what we define as going over as being justified, say like I don't know the TikTok friendly word, but dropping things on Libya, we see that as justified and we should do that. They see it as terrorism. It's the same thing. Okay, whatever. Name any bomb we've dropped on any country. They're gonna call it terrorism. We're gonna call it justified for X reason. The country that we bombed.
Well, I mean, it's
the difference is the same thing. Hold on. The same thing with political violence. It depends on what side of the aisle you stand on in terms of your governance.
We have an objective. We have not an objective. We have a universally accepted definition of political violence, and that's violence for political means. That's it. That's all it is. It's in the name. Okay.
Yeah. In the broad term. Okay, fine. For the sake of argument, I'll concede in the broad term, yes, it's all political violence. But I think that it has a subjective meaning as well, and most people would agree that there's a difference between political violence and declaring war.
Of course, but we didn't. So first of all, during the Revolutionary War, it wasn't like before the Declaration of Independence, we were still in active conflict with them. Like that's it wasn't like with we were at war with them for almost a year prior to the Declaration of Independence. Boston was under siege. Like what are we doing? What are we talking about? The Battle of Lexington happened. We were in violence, right? You had the Minutemen who were unorganized, who were militia, who were doing the primary fighting, all of which are considered heroes of the American people.
Yeah, and if we wouldn't have won that conflict against Britain, we would have been defined as terrorists and insurrectionists.
I agree with you.
Because we won, we're heroes by our own country's standards, and that's why I'm saying it's subjective to what side you're on. It's always subjective.
If you're Palestinian, if you're Palestinian, you're gonna call Hamas a resistance group because you're under Israeli oppression. But obviously Israelis are gonna think otherwise. But from the outside looking in, it's not as nuanced as that, right? You can recognize the reason why Hamas came to power was because of Israeli oppression, right? Does that mean that attacking civilians is justified? No. But does that mean that if that the entire situation is fully blamed on Hamas? No, right? It's obviously more nuanced than that. But what we're talking about is whether in some circumstances political violence is justified. And that is what this YouGov poll is referencing. 24% of liberals, very liberals, said this. We know that most liberals are a higher education on American history, right? So obviously, I think it's way more likely that liberals are going to answer with more nuance than Republicans. We see this universally, that liberals in their political beliefs, or like Democrats in their political beliefs, are way more consistent on things than Republicans are, especially when it comes to empirics.
So if we take out the semantics of political violence, let me define
semantics.
it.
You were just saying something that was fucking wrong.
It is semantics because you even said yourself there's an objective definition and subjective. You agree to that.
And under the objective definition, like, political violence is sometimes justified.
Subjectively, it's not, though. And you can agree with that.
Yes, but again, that's how everything works. You can make the argument that everybody's going to have a different opinion on something because everybody's different. But again, we have...
So I guess your argument is that Republicans were answering this subjectively. Liberals were answering this poll objectively.
No.
What evidence do you have of that?
I don't think that. The reason why I think the poll was answered... what you're saying? The reason why I think the poll was answered this way is because I don't think Republicans are as educated on the history of this country. Again, the reason why is because the liberals, right, agree that the Sons of Liberty... Like, you didn't know who the Sons of Liberty are. It's a great example. Like, you didn't know who they were. I've explained to you who they were.
I did once you explained it, but I didn't know the exact name. Everyone knows the Boston Tea Party, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, I learned it in like high school or middle school, elementary.
That was like 2 years ago for me. That was 10 years. That was 2 years ago for you. 10 years ago for me.
Okay. I don't think people forget it just as they've been longer out of school. Like, you should still know this shit about the history of this country, especially if you're going to be discussing politics.
Dude, once you go through college and post education, I promise you'll start forgetting things from high school.
I don't think I will, especially if I continue to talk politics. But getting back to the thing, right? The reason why I think the poll was answered this way is a combination of two things. One, Republicans were mourning from the death of Charlie Kirk, right? And then two, this poll was, it's actually three things. Two, this poll was specifically referencing and done because of the death of Charlie Kirk. So it's going to be answered along political lines. Three, right? Liberals are more educated and understand the nuances more of political violence than Republicans do, right? Republicans are just going to say, no, political violence is never necessary, blah, 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 right? Because of the fact that they just lost somebody to political violence. Liberals are going to be like, well, if authoritarianism is happening, Thomas Jefferson said that we have a responsibility to violently rebel against our government, right? They know
okay, hold on.
Because they're more educated class.
I went back to the YouGov poll to see exactly what the verbiage was in the question asked to respondents. The exact question was, do you think it is ever justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals? That's implying that it'd be citizens committing political violence against their own government or people around them.
Yes,
this
I
isn't
agree
like
with that. I think that is a okay thing to do.
You think it's justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals?
Yes,
within their own country.
If there's violence being committed against them by the state, there is justification to rebel against said state. That's in our that is literally in our Declaration of Independence. It's a founding doctrine of this country. That if the state is violent, we have a responsibility to be violent back. That's why the Second Amendment fucking exists.
Political goal. No, that's against tyranny. This is to achieve a political goal.
Stopping tyranny isn't political? What the fuck are we talking about? What is the Second Amendment literally exists so citizens can rise up against a tyrannical government, so they can change the political landscape of their government. What the fuck are we doing? What are you talking about, dude? I swear to God, how can you be this stupid?
Okay. Look, you're trying to call political violence like you're trying to stretch the term into defending against tyranny.
Definitionally, it is. Again, definitionally.
That is the same exact self-justification of political violence that the Nazis used against quote unquote Jewish tyranny. You just copied a political talking point.
That is a crazy logical fallacy. That is. So first up, do you think crazy logical
literally
fallacy?
Look it up.
Holy
the
shit.
Nazis said that they were defending themselves against Jewish tyranny.
What violence were Jewish people committing against the Nazis?
What violence
were Jewish people committing against the Nazis? What tyranny was there?
They were living under tyranny of the Jewish people.
Yeah, were they? Do you think that they were?
They said that things like they were living in they had control of the banks, so they were under financial tyranny.
Okay,
they were in control
I'm not
of their
asking you what they
system.
said, average guy. I'm asking what it was.
What I'm saying, this is important. Why we need to eliminate things, because then you're justifying things that can end up in extremist groups.
I'll give you some great examples of when political violence is justified. Again, the American Revolution, violence and tyranny was being committed by the British government against the American people. We rebelled. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, when the Nazis were persecuting Jewish people, that was completely justified. That political violence was justified. Go to the Russian Revolution. The Tsardom was oppressive, and that was a justified revolution. In hindsight, it wasn't. Go to the Chinese, Communist Revolution. Was completely justified. Fine. The young officers' coup in Japan, justified. Like, there's so many different instances in which the state is committing active violence, and the people have the ability and have the right to use violence against the state that is being violent against them. If you do not believe so, I don't know what fucking planet you're on or what country you're living in.
Well, I think this I think that you're like pretending to not understand the problem with this ideology. It's not that everyone understands if you're under against tyranny, violence is justified. The difference is, and as we're seeing it all around, we saw it nonstop. I could play you hours of footage of liberals saying like it was completely justified for CK to be unalived, and you're claiming here that it wasn't, right?
I do not think there was a justification for CK to be unalive. No.
Can I literally chip into some of this?
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of people on your side of the aisle disagree with that, and they think that because he was a quote unquote a race I don't know what to say. I think you could say racist. Because he was a quote-unquote racist, quote-unquote misogynist, all these reasons that it was justified for him to be unalived. And I think that's why when you're putting those same labels on Trump, you're seeing people try to unalive him as well at an alarming rate.
Yeah, I mean,
the problem
when
is
Trump
killing,
how about Trump's ICE has killed 2 American citizens?
Does that mean we can unalive Trump then?
They have a secret police force that is actively committing violence against Americans.
Does that mean we can unalive Trump then?
I do not think we were at the stage where violence is necessary against Trump.
What's the point of bringing that up? Are you justifying the assassination attempts?
I just need to. We need to make a very.
Jesse, I want to address that. No, I'm not justifying what I'm saying against Trump. But you're making.
Then why would you bring that up?
Because of the fact that because of these actions that Trump is committing, people feel that they need to do that. It's the same thing.
Are they wrong for that?
It's the same. Are they wrong for that? Yes, I don't think that that's what we should do.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm against that. But I'm citing these actions of violence and tyranny by Donald Trump that are similar to tyranny of the past. I do believe that our institutions and there's a way to vote him out, right? But his tyranny that he's committing is tyranny.
What tyranny is he committing? Hold on, let's hone in on that. What tyranny?
Well, hold on, wait. Hold on. So,
go ahead, Jesse.
Let me just address a few things because the conversation keeps going. I want to chip in. So, average, we have to establish that Jacob is correct, in the sense that, like, historically speaking, woven into the founding documents, woven into the founding of our country, into the very principles, violence is a part of it. Right, like it's literally in our Declaration of Independence. Now you made
about that. Objectively, political violence can be justified. Subjectively, it cannot be. Vigilantism cannot be justified by any means.
What? That's what the Sons of Liberty were.
Holy fucking shit! Hold on. Let me just say my piece. So the point I'm trying to make is that literally in the Declaration of Independence, you conflated what the Nazis did with the J people to what Jacob was talking about. These are completely fucking different things. If you actually read the Declaration, what it says, it specifically talks about the political bands that tie one people to their government, right? And when that government designs and evinces this design that subjects its people to absolute despotism, then it is their right to dissolve such bands and to form for themselves a new government for their future security. It's literally in our declaration to do what Jacob
What I'm
just
saying
said.
is, hold on, Jesse. What I'm saying is, trying to justify political violence by saying you're defending yourself against tyranny is the exact same playbook that most extremist groups have used in the past.
Extremists are usually the people that are committing violence. Our founding fathers were fucking extremists.
Yeah, but how are they justifying it, Jacob?
How is who justifying? The founding fathers or the schmazzies?
How are these extremist groups justifying these egregious acts? How are they doing that?
What, again, be specific. It's not universal.
By saying that they're defending against tyranny. That's why you want to call
They're
Trump
incorrect.
a tyrant. That's why you are trying to explain to me that you are under tyranny under Donald Trump, so that would lead to a justification for something to happen.
Trump is a authoritarian. Does that mean that I don't think he can still be voted out through democratic means? No. Does that mean that he's just like not an authoritarian? No. Again, I do not believe that violence is at the stage we are at. But if Donald Trump cancels fucking elections, if Donald Trump like federalizes elections and has the federal government taking control of voting, you better fucking I'm taking up arms. Why the fuck wouldn't you? If you're gonna sit here and say if Donald Trump takes over elections and that you'd be okay with him doing that and you wouldn't take up arms, you are a fucking traitor. Okay? So there are things that Donald Trump has advocated for that would make me it's why I wear this fucking patch on my arm. It's why I wear the fucking infantry cross, because I'm willing to put down my life for this country. And if Donald Trump federalizes elections and tries to get rid of the democracy in this country, I'm gonna take up arms.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying. We're not at that stage yet. We're not at that stage yet. But if he goes to that stage, I will. And there are people who believe that we are at that stage, and that's why they're committing violence.
And they would be misled, correct?
I think that their claims that Trump is an authoritarian are not misled, but I do think that they're misled in the fact that we are that Trump is that the final act is violence. I do not believe.
Let me.
Hold on. Let me ask Jacob a question. So if you are living under tyranny, you would be justified in revolting against your government, right?
At a certain point, if there's violence being committed at the state level, there's violence being committed by the government. Violence from the people.
Let me.
Jesse,
that's what tyranny is.
So there's. But hold on, Average. You guys keep going back and forth. Let me chip in. So there are differences, right? Like I understand what you're saying about political violence. I personally frown down against unaliving attempts for politicians and whatnot, but you have to look at the context of what the American Revolution went through, right? The way the framing is absolute despotism. The idea that they did not have say in their government, and that time after time after time, after airing their grievances with the crown, they were rejected, ignored, and further oppressed, right? And after a time, a people collectively come together to disband such connections to their governments in order to form for themselves a new one. Now, I would make an argument there is a distinction between one-off crazy extremists with radical ideologies that are looking to unalive certain politicians because they think they're lizards, and a group of people that have aired their grievances to their government, have been ignored and further oppressed, and therefore revolt against their government to secure their freedom. These are fundamentally different. While they seem and appear to be the same.
I understand.
Okay, great. But my point being is that I think I think Jacob and I would agree with you that some of these individuals who are trying to unalive the president, I would condemn them. I do not think this is a legitimate way of conducting a democracy. At the same time, to Jacob's point, Donald Trump has called for some of the most authoritarian stuff in American history, like ever. Like he has called for the federalization of elections. He is literally right now seizing ballots in Georgia and Arizona. He is specifically causing doubt. He has literally questioned the election way beyond legal means. He has literally called a huge riot to the Capitol. He's done a lot of things.
Jesse, is he tyrannical? Are we living under a tyrannical government?
I would argue.
If you're arguing that we're living under tyranny, then political justice, political violence against Trump would be justified under your own logic.
No, stop. No. I literally just clarified this and you weren't listening. Because you can live under a tyrannical government and yet not be under absolute despotism. You may still have some form of representation in that government to use the mechanisms of that government to fight back against that tyrannical ruler. This is specifically what happened. Hold on. This is specifically what happened in the Philippines in 2015 with Duterte. He was voted out. This is what happened with Viktor Orban in Hungary. He was voted out. This is what happened in multiple places like Peru with in the 90s with Fujimori. Fujimori was an authoritarian tyrant who was voted out. There are methods inside of democratic systems when a tyrannical person takes over that is not just revolution or violence.
Okay, so what options are you using?
What we are saying,
you're shotgunning a lot of topics,
dude.
here.
But listen to my argument, because you're obviously not listening. So listen to specifically what I'm saying, right? Like, again, specifically what I'm saying is that no, we are right now. Jacob and I are not calling for all-out revolution and violence and war and things like that against the government. We're not saying that because we're not under absolute despotism. Is Donald Trump a tyrannical authoritarian? Yes. Definitionally, yes. But there are mechanisms right now in our democracy that allow us to fight back. If he denies those, if he subjects us to a design under absolute despotism, then yes, constitutionally and through the Declaration of Independence and the founding principles, we have the right to rise up. There is a difference there.
Okay, so you think you said yourself that Trump is a tyrant. You at the same time as you saying that, you understand that people are going to be listening to this. I mean, I'm literally watching people in your comments saying that we are at that point and political justice is political violence is justified.
I would disagree. Hold on. I'm telling you, I would disagree.
Yeah. So you're saying that, like, at the same time, not acknowledging that your ideology has some major issues that is linked to these assassination attempts.
No.
Your ideology. I mean, you literally have people in your comments saying that we are at the point where political justice, political violence is justified.
I have not failed to acknowledge that there are elements of the far left that are absolute fucking asinine. I openly call me and Jacob, we get reamed for this. We have lost friends over calling them out because of this kind of shit.
I've gotten doxxed, dude.
Yes, literally. Like, I've seen Jacob get doxxed for literally what we are talking about, condemning far leftist group who want to like overthrow and unalive everyone on Capitol Hill. We don't agree with that, is what we're telling you. We understand that there are elements of the left that do that, as is on the fucking right. And if you don't acknowledge that, you're being disingenuous. And I would argue it's much larger on the right. Because let me tell you right now, which side, the left or the right, has more military militias throughout the entire country? The answer is the right. The right has anti-government militias, of which multiple of them have actually caused terrorist attacks like, I don't know, Timothy McVeigh, who unalived 168 people in Oklahoma City in 1990. 6, 5, I don't remember. But overall, the point I'm trying to make is that there are nuances and different types of understandings that we can have. Fair?
Correct. But what I'm saying is, and I'm not necessarily arguing against you guys on this. Like, I agree with most of the things you're saying. But the problem is, it's not you guys. You guys are not the problem. It's what can we do to avoid like liberals going after and repeatedly trying to unalive people like Trump, people like CK.
People did the same thing with Obama. Like, people did the same thing with Obama and Biden.
What?
Yes.
There was
over 40 attempts on
there's like
Obama's
a lot of attempts.
life. Like,
most of them are not reported.
You're such
most
a
of them are not
victim,
reported
bro.
because they don't really come close. Like, I think Obama had like anthrax mailed to him like twice. So like most of these things are usually not reported unless they're like dramatic, like a pew-pewing at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Right?
Yeah, I'm
like,
talking about like actual unaliving attempts.
Those are actual unaliving. Okay, if someone mailed you a box of anthrax, is that not an actual attempt? Yes, it is.
I don't think the capability is really there if someone's mailing you anthrax.
Dude, we're not going to argue the fucking like semantics of whether
I'm
or not
serious.
It is a threat.
If I mail a box of anthrax to the White House, nothing's going to happen. There's no real capability there.
What the fuck are you, bro? I'm telling you right now.
The White House checks all their mail.
Yes, they do. And guess who they're coming for if you fucking mail that to the
actually capable and successful.
You're so disingenuous. If you're telling me right now, if you yourself mailed a box of anthrax to the White House right now, you don't think the FBI would show up at your door?
Oh, okay. What I'm saying is
no. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Dude,
will they show up at your door?
You're completely you're strawmanning my position right now.
How?
What I'm telling you is the actual capability and the intent behind it. There's a big difference between
That doesn't change.
Dude, hold on. You don't even let me get my claim out. the big difference between this is someone showing up to a rally, someone that's been radicalized to the point where they're showing up to a rally with a rifle and getting on a roof and coming 1 millimeter from taking our president's head off, versus somebody putting a dangerous substance into a piece of mail and mailing it to the White House. That's a huge difference. Way bigger.
Both are attempts.
The chance of death was like 1 in a million that Trump's even alive right now, versus 1 in a million that the entire White House would miss anthrax in a piece of mail and deliver it to Obama's fucking desk.
These are still attempts.
Is so fucking
They're still
absurd.
attempts.
Huge difference, and you all know it.
I don't give a fuck if it's a difference. It's still attempts. I would agree with you that it's a difference. They're still fucking attempts. They are still attempts to unalive the president. You're being disingenuous.
It's not a serious attempt.
It is a very serious incident.
It's equivalent of an empty threat.
They are different, yes, but it is still very serious. To even threaten the president to unalive is serious, let alone to actually take action to put in anthrax in a fucking box and mail it is a very, very serious crime. Those people you go look it up, have been arrested and convicted and are in prison.
The point is, none of them were radicalized enough to actually show up and, for example, lose their life trying to justify political violence, like trying to commit political violence.
I'm pretty sure it's not even true. I'm pretty sure there's a couple that are saying
there was literally a guy that shot at the White House in 2011. He ended up being killed, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
this happens all the time.
What I'm saying is, in the past 2 years alone, we've seen people that have been radicalized on the left.
So I agree. Radicalization is on the rise. But again, radicalization is across the board higher.
Yes.
If we're comparing, I just want to mention we're comparing Obama and Trump. Obama's presidency was significantly less divisive, significantly less high stakes than the few past presidencies. Donald Trump and Biden had significantly more divisive presidencies than Obama did. So I would say that it's fair to assume that the violence level is going to go up. Even with that, we have multiple people firing at the White House during Obama's presidency. We have a guy that they sent anthrax and a guy that sent ricin to the White House. Like, all these things, first off, the ricin and the anthrax shit, that could have very well killed Obama. Let's just be very fucking clear. That is a huge risk. Like,
dude, somebody in the comments said that never even made it into the White House.
We can obviously fact check that, right? But I also want to say that, I mean,
the difference is you guys have to realize why are
has a killer of Trump made it into the White House?
Hold on. Yeah, he was. He literally was taken down next to the ballroom.
When did a guy get into the White House trying to kill Trump?
I don't think he ever got to the White House. I think he shot around the White House.
What?
Nobody.
I saw that guy get tackled by Secret Service in some.
You're talking about that wasn't at the White House.
Fucking hotel. You absolute dumbass. God damn, dude.
Hey, yo, chill out, bro. I didn't even say I was fully confident on that. Like, what are you getting mad about for? And I immediately took it back.
Sorry, this idea also that you also do this narrative thing where you're like saying, oh, the violence is all on the left, and like you understand it's not on this, like only. Like, you understand the right has a lot of violence recently in the past couple of years. You know that, right?
Well, hold on. The thing I've been wanting to go into for the past 15 minutes, but we keep just jumping around your guys' topics, is why are leftists getting radicalized at such an alarming rate? Probably because all of them think that Trump is actually a rapist. They actually think that he's a Schnazi. They actually think that he's a racist, and they actually think that. What's the other thing you guys call? Oh, a PDF.
I think all of those things. I still don't want to go to.
Okay, so then let me ask you the question. Let me ask you the question: Is it good and justified to unalive Schnazis?
If I meet a Schnazi, if I was in, yes, I have to think about it. Yeah, I have to think about it. If somebody wants
because you call him a Schnazi.
If somebody wants me dead because I'm Jewish, I'm 100% gonna think that it's gonna be okay to unalive them. What are you talking about? Second of all, if I was in Schmatzi Germany, if I was in a government controlled by Schmatzis who were actively trying to kill me, yes, I'm going to kill them. 100%.
No, just generally speaking, is it justified to unalive Schnatzis?
If they are actively committing violence against somebody, Yes. But if I'm like walking, if I'm walking down the street and if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody with like the patch on their arm, am I gonna beat their ass? Yeah. Am I gonna kill them? No, because I don't want to go to jail.
Hold on. You said that you think Trump's a Schnazi, and earlier you said that he is committing violence against some groups of people. Therefore, under your worldview, he would be justified to unalive him.
Again, I'm always.
You just said that to yourself.
Wrong. Dude, you're strawmanning and being so
okay. What extra checkbox is there for you then?
How many times do I have to tell you that I don't think political violence is a good idea next to Trump? How many times do I have to say that?
I'm gonna take a much more nuanced approach, and probably a lot of people will disagree with me. I personally don't think, if someone were to expound Nazi ideology right in front of me, I don't think it's justified to unalive them right then and there.
No, I would just beat them up.
Disagree with that.
I would argue that until they start taking actions that to implement their ideologies that begin to unalive people, then in defense of this, then I would, right?
That's exactly what I said. I agree.
No, I agree. So I also want to make it very clear that one thing the average is trying to do is to take these far left niche groups and make him representative of the entire left.
No, I just asked you a straightforward question. Is he a Schnazi? You said yes, and I said,
I don't think he is. I do not think he's a Schnazi.
You and Jacob disagree on that. And your
maybe we do.
Section.
Maybe we do.
I think Trump's anti-Semitic and authoritarian. I don't think he's a schmatzi equivalent to like.
So now you don't think he's a Schnazi.
I agree with the fact that you said he's a rapist, that he's an
it's indefensible. That's why you're walking it back.
So I'm not walking it back. I'm not walking it back. What I heard you say was that he's a rapist, he's a child predator, he's like authoritarian. I didn't hear you say he's a Schnazi. However, I do think that he's openly anti-Semitic.
Dude, I asked you straight up.
I openly think he's anti-Semitic and actively likes Nazis. But I don't think he's like the same thing as Hitler. But again, you continue and refuse to acknowledge the fact that me and Jesse are condemning political violence. You are ignoring that we are condemning political violence, and it's absurd. You're just ignoring it to our faces. You're pretending like we never said that. Bro. And that's the issue, because you need to paint us in a specific light for your ideology to work. You are trying to paint me and Jesse as violent.
Let me be very, very, very clear.
I'm trying to see
stuff.
So
I think but you haven't shown the problem, because I've been very consistent.
My ideology is the ideology that our founding fathers. No, average, shut up, because you're really starting to piss me off now. Okay. My ideology is the ideology that our founding fathers had. That if violence is being committed by the state, then violence by the people is justified. Shut the fuck up and stop trying to prove this point. That's my ideology. There's nothing else to it. End of story.
I'm just glad you guys don't think he's a Nazi anymore.
Again, I think that he's Nazi adjacent. I don't think that he's the same thing as Hitler.
I've actually never thought that he was. I've actually never
Nazi
thought, because
adjacent,
I think,
but he's not a Schnazi.
I think a lot of people, when they make comparisons to Schnaziism, dilute the severity of Schnaziism, and then also misinterpret or misrepresent what Schnaziism actually is. Schnaziism is a very specific ideology in 1930s and 40s Germany that specifically saw the German people, not white people, German people, as superior to all other forms of ethnicities and races, right? And with this, they believe that obviously that the Aryan race, so on and so forth, they believe that they were the superior ones, and extreme ultranationalism, specifically surrounding Germany, is Schnaziism, right? I would make the argument that Trump is more aligned with white supremacist ideology than he is with Nazism in particular. When you look at different studies, and metrics and different statistics, you will find that he is absolutely, quantifiably an authoritarian. The way he rules, the actions that he does, the executive orders, the lack of legislation, the lack of actual legislative and judicial restrictions, the way he talks, just the things that he does, quantifiably. I give you sources. He is an authoritarian. I would make him more akin to people like Viktor Orban, Lukashenko, Putin, Erdogan. These people are more like.
Okay, that's an interesting conversation. What does he do that differ from any other president that makes him an authoritarian?
We're not pivoting away from this. Good Lord.
He brought that up.
But it's again. I'm tired of having this argument with you. You've been up so.
You want to keep talking about the Schnazi argument? I thought you wanted not to talk about that anymore.
So, because I actually am enjoying this conversation for once, because it's not the same thing as trans people, gay people, or women, like you always like to talk about, right? Like, it's not the same thing over and over and over again.
I talk about all sorts of stuff.
Well, that's all that you ever come up to talk about. Literally, last time we were up here, we had to talk about trans people. So, regardless.
That was the first time I ever talked about that topic. That's probably my least talked about issue.
Well, regardless, I want to continue talking about this because I think there is a fundamental disagreement on what the fuck like is justified in violence. I don't even know where we've gotten here. But again, I'll say it once, I say this before. I think Donald Trump admires schmazzies. I don't think that he believes that his race is superior in the way that schmazzies do. I do believe that he has a superiority of himself.
You don't think he's a white supremacist?
I think that he helps white supremacists. I think he's only a white supremacist in the way that
but you don't think he is a white supremacist?
Okay, stop fucking interrupting me. Seriously, dude. Come on. Okay? He is a Trump supremacist. He is a Trump supremacist. I believe that he is a white supremacist in the idea that he loves himself and his money and his power so much that he associates with white supremacists. I believe that's a more specific interpretation of Donald Trump. I classify him as a white supremacist,
this is interesting.
but I don't think that he's the same as like every other one. I don't think that he I don't think that he cares as much about white supremacy as much as he cares about Donald Trump supremacy.
Okay, this is interesting because typically people would die on these hills that Trump is a white supremacist. You don't think he is?
Again, he's a white supremacist.
So does he think that the white race is better than other races?
He is actually
just answer the question.
He has specifically expounded and actually retruthed or reposted or whatever, specifically things like, I think it's like Mike Levin and who's the other guy? Michael Savage. Talking specifically about how the white race is superior, how the dirty shithole countries.
You do think he's a white supremacist?
Yes. I mean, you tell me if he's the one
fucking. I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. If he's the one fucking retweeting that and saying yes, I agree, then you fucking tell me. What do you think?
So if
no.
Answer
Answer my question. I'm going to be fucking annoying right now until you actually answer my question. I'm not going to shut up until you say yes or no. If the president of the United States is retweeting an entire podcast episode saying how the white race is superior and shithole countries like India and Africa should not send their shithole brown people here, is that racist? Does that make the president racist for retweeting that? Yes or no? Is that white?
If that's true, then yes.
Thank you.
Then Jacob, can you please, for the love of God, pull it up. Pull up Michael Savage, Trump's reposted podcast episode. I have a Truth Social account specifically so I can look it up. And I have.
And while you're looking that up, I have some questions for you guys. I don't know why during this conversation, like, you guys have moved away from it being a back and forth, and instead of it's like a 2-on-1. I don't know if it's because I'm getting you guys upset or what.
Yeah, I'm upset. Yes, I'm upset.
So,
you've openly ignored the founding of this nation. You've openly forgotten the fact that we were founded on political violence, and there's just so many fucking dumbass things you've said in this conversation.
There's a difference between the political violence of the Boston Tea Party and the political violence committed against Charlie Kirk. There's a difference.
I agree with you.
So
they're not the same thing.
What I'm telling you,
they're still both political violence. Good Lord.
Objectively, yeah. But so what I'm telling you is, okay, you're trying to say what you're not being consistent, because you're saying that he's not a Schnazi because he doesn't believe that his race is superior, but then you just told me that he is a white supremacist and he does believe his race is superior. So which one is it?
I believe he's Trump first, white people second. I think
does Trump think that his race is superior to other races? Answer the question.
Again, I think that he cares more. Yes, I do believe that he
okay, so that would make him a Schnazi, thinking that his race is superior.
I don't think that he goes to the levels that Schmazzi's did. I don't think that. Again.
But is he a Schnazi?
Oh my God. I think that he is Nazi adjacent.
So again, I'm sorry.
Do you have the ability for nuanced thought?
I will say this again. Nazism specifically has to do with German. This is why like, as someone who literally reads history,
there could be American Nazis.
Hold on,
yes,
hold on. As someone,
neo-Nazis.
Yeah, I understand that, but
it's not just the Germans.
Yes,
It's
it
an
fucking is.
ideology.
Holy shit. Let me
It's an
fucking
ideology.
finish. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, let me finish. When it comes to Nazism, that in particular has to do with the superiority of the German race, right? When it comes to
Aryan
neo-Nazis,
race,
when they
not the
hold
German
on.
race.
Nope, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. They believe that the Aryan race once existed and that the German people are derivative of the Aryan race. Again, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
Again,
German races
let
can
me,
be
bro, I
another
just fucking
national.
dog watch you like 3 times back to back. Stop embarrassing yourself and let me finish. Like, you don't know, you keep saying Nazi. You don't even know what Nazism is. You don't even know what Aryanism is. Hold on. Stop interrupting.
It's not
You're getting
limited
dog
to
washed.
the Germans.
Bro, why don't you shut the fuck up and let me finish?
Your own political.
Why don't you shut the fuck up and let me finish? Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Even your own comments are disagreeing with you.
Neo-Nazism
and I'll be honest, and I'll just be saying,
you know
no
what?
offense,
Fucking forget it.
No, yeah. I'm sorry, Jesse. I'm kind of done with him. I'll be honest. You come back. First of all, I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I think that a lot of the people in the comments are not nearly as educated on Nazism as me and Jesse are. Sorry. Just saying. But first off, Jesse's completely correct. I don't think I'm a fence sitter. That's funny. No, I'm anything but a fence sitter. Nazism in like the 1930s aspect was very specifically about the Aryan race, the pure race, right? That's like one of the main things that it's surrounding.
So
today,
Nazism,
it's a neo-Nazism. Like the Nazi Party of the 70s is not the same thing. Go ahead.
It is built on a pseudo history. The whole idea of Nazism is that there used to be this Aryan race, and this Aryan race of superior human beings are the bedrock of all civilizations, from the Greek civilization to Alexander the Great, to all these civilizations. Basically, they dissipated and essentially were almost wiped out. But they created like derivative superior races like the Germans. The Germans are what Mustache Men believe were the clearest descendants of the Aryan race, the purest modern form of what the Aryan race could be, basically. And he wanted to revitalize that in Lebensraum, which is what like modern day Ukraine is essentially, to revitalize this pseudo-historical Aryan race, basically. This is what Nazism is, right? When we talk about American neo-Nazi, it's derivative. They use elements of it, but it's not pure Nazism. You can't be, because half of these fucking white people aren't even fucking German. They're fucking like Irish and Scottish. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Even Mustache Man had hierarchy within European races. He believed that the British were superior to the French, but that the Swedish were inferior to the British. Like, even in his high hierarchy, it wasn't white people. This is where neo-Nazism becomes way derivative of original Nazism, because they don't believe in that. They believe in the monolithic unification of all white people. Hitler didn't believe that. He didn't believe that. Like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing in his writings that believe that. So this is why I get very irritated when people say this kind of shit. This is why I don't think Trump in particular is actually a Schnazi. I think he's more neo-Schnazi. Like, it's
like,
there
again,
are distinctions that we do have to make.
Nazi adjacent is the best. That's semantics. I mean, it's history, Rebecca.
It's not semantics. It's specifically not semantics. It's important that we make distinguish, because if we misrepresent our enemy, then we will misrepresent how to properly tackle and attack them, right? And I think it's very important that we're very specific with our words, because the other side doesn't care about the words. We have to care about our words, because words are power. So when we mislabel or misrepresent our enemy, we will not know how to properly tackle them the way we need to.
Yeah. Like, it's for the same reason that, Rebecca, like, I'm very specific with using the word G-side to describe things. I got into an entire argument with online leftists on why the the Korean War wasn't a G-side. Right? I got an entire argument about that. The whole reason why I did wasn't because it was semantics, was because when we call something a G-side, the weight of that word is so significant. Arguing against your own party, that's what you're supposed to do. If you're not arguing against your own party, like, you shouldn't be in it. Like, that So dumb. Okay, so this is, by the way, this is the thing that Trump reposted. And this is a 4-page transcript. So
yeah, so this is Michael Savage. This is a podcast transcript episode that Michael Savage did, basically ranting last year in April. After April 15th, the Supreme Court had heard a appeal to a block that a lower court had done on the birthright citizenship executive order that Trump had done. And Michael Savage was pretty upset and basically ran on this crazy rant. You guys can read it. It's also on YouTube. This is like a YouTube video you can actually download, where Michael Savage basically saying all the white people came here and they all assimilated essentially. And if you're a white man in America, like things are tough for you essentially. And we shouldn't allow people from shithole countries like India and Africa or whatever to come here and dilute our country. Yep. So this is why we need to repeal birthright citizenship.
So here's the actual quote here. Jesse, can you read this? Can you see it?
Yeah, where do you want me to start?
You can just like start at like the "we all know." But I just have to go grab something real quick. I'm gonna go grab a drink.
Sure. It's cut off a little bit. Can you move it over?
You see it now?
Yeah, just go there.
All right. Yeah, just like can you read it? All right, cool. Read to the class, guys.
It says we all know that these arguments.
Rebecca, we're not like upset at you or anything. Don't worry. Like we understand what you were saying. It's all good. Jesse and I try to be very specific. Again, I think Trump is schmatzy adjacent. I don't think that he's the same thing as like Schmittler. I don't think he's the same. I think that there are similarities, but I don't think that calling Trump Schmittler is a good idea or a schmatzy. I'll be right back.
I think people in the comments can read the thing for yourselves.
All right, you finish it or?
No, sorry. I'm like walking my dog, and there's like a ton of motorcycles and honking horns over here.
No worries. So I will read it here. So, we all know, like, literally says it right here. The Irish integrated, the Italians integrated, the Polish integrated, the Lithuanians, the Romanians, the Russians. They all integrated and became Americans in the melting pot. The idea of the melting pot.
Notice how he specifically doesn't mention the black community or any African Americans.
Yeah. The idea of the melting pot is over. It is now just a cash-in pot. We've gone from the melting pot to the chamber pot. As I said many years ago, you don't have to go any further than any city in America to see what this has brought upon this country. So to listen to these very wise, smart lawyers arguing in the abstract as whether birthright citizenship should apply to anyone born here, no matter who their parents were, where their parents came from, is ludicrous to me. Which is why I put up a poll on my social media channels where I said birthright citizenship should be subjected to a national vote, not put in the hands of lawyers. Let the citizens decide. Of course, I knew what it would go because the people think it's 80-20. No, they don't. What the fuck are we talking about? Maybe Michael Savage fans are 80-20. But like, what are we talking about? So he literally says this. In California, we have propositions as rigged as they are, that people get a chance to vote as where's the I'm trying to find like the super racist like Indian part. Oh, earlier when I saw this and listened to the snake from the ACLU, Mrs. Wang, Attorney Wang, she speaks so eloquently. Supreme Court arguments are just legal tricksters. I read about fighting each other. Our nation is being overrun with Chinese coming here just to drop a baby on our shores and bring in the entire family. How about some common sense in a bankrupt nation? Attorney Wang is pushing to destroy our national identity and turn us into a colony of China. She's Chinese, by the way. He's saying this because she's a Chinese person, like she's from Chinese ancestry. Her parents are born in America. She was born in America, but because she has Wang in her last name, he's assuming that, you know, he wants to make a Chinese colony. Like, that's just the racism. Like, this is fucking crazy. But it's also not limited to China. It's also India. They're also abusing it. I used to be a great supporter of Indians in India until I opened my eyes to see what's going on there. White men need not to apply to jobs in the state of America, in the state of California. Never mind in high tech. I don't care what your qualifications are. You're not getting a job at high tech in California. You have to be from India or China because almost all the internal mechanisms are set up to run by Indians and Chinese. I know for a fact, and you don't have to argue with it, but if you don't know what you're talking about, don't argue with me. And our president reposted that, guys, on fucking True Social.
Yeah.
That's literally from the True Social website, guys. Lord almighty. Well, thank you for enduring that bullshit with me, Jesse. I appreciate it. But I do have to head out for the day. I gotta go eat dinner. So I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Are you gonna try to go live tonight?
No, I have too much stuff I gotta going on tonight. Maybe tomorrow.
All right. Well, see you later. All right, guys. Thank you for coming by. I'm thinking of probably just banning Not So Average Guy, honestly, because he's really starting to piss me off with this shit. I'll be like, feel free to pop in. Sure. Yeah, that sounds fun. I will see you guys later. I hope y'all have a good day. See y'all around. Bye-bye.